Hey guys, Everything Apple Pro here, and it's always an exciting day when Apple is out and about releasing new products. So today we were introduced to quite a bit. Now, to begin, Apple started off the keynote by telling us just how successful they were. They've sold so many things, so many iPads. The adoption rate for iOS 8 has been the highest ever. And even better, Apple has been listening to the consumers to see what they wanted, and they weren't happy with iOS 8. So in the next update, iOS 8.1, Apple has changed a bit, and they've added a new iPhoto Cloud library that's available between all of your devices. It shows all of your pictures, full resolution between devices, and they've brought back camera roll, as well as many necessary performance enhancements. Now, Apple is set to release iOS 8.1 on Monday, and it will feature Apple Pay, which is the payment system which is going to be widely adopted over 500 banks, and a lot of new retailers are going to be using this off the bat. So any NFC equipped device, which includes the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus, will be able to use the new Apple Pay when iOS 8.1 is released in a few days. I noticed that at the keynote, everybody was nervous. The general vibe was just, hey, we've been doing such a great job, we know it, you know it, and we're just going to make what we do even better. So I was really impressed. Apple released a lot of cool things, and to start off, they did brag a little bit, saying, we've sold so many iPads, more than any of the competition combined, including all the PC sales, which is impressive. It's the best-selling Apple product of any of their devices. And to kick off the keynote, Apple introduced the world to the new iPad Air 2. Of course, everybody knew it was coming, but we didn't know just how great it would be. Quote unquote, it's the thinnest tablet ever made. It's currently the thinnest tablet on the market, period. And we thought it would be 7mm versus 7.5 of the current iPad Air, but Apple just blew that away. It's 6.1mm thin. That's crazy. How am I even going to hold this thing? Hopefully Apple did compensate for the thinness, and they did make it very structurally sound. So, in case we drop it or apply a little bit of force to it, nothing happens. Hopefully. Now, compared to the original iPad Air, it's 18% thinner, and Apple is really proud. Now, Samsung and competitors, of course, will catch up with a thin marketing thing, but for now, it's a very impressive feat for Apple. Now, they actually took several minutes to introduce us to the new iPad Air 2 and show us just how thin it is. Here it is compared to the original iPad, and I still have it. It's really not that thin alone, but two iPad Air 2 models can stack up and still be thinner than the original iPad. And that's in 4 or 5 years. Apple has progressed so far. It's really impressive. Now, when the original iPad came out, it shocked the world. It was crazy. And it's kind of hard to make people feel the same way again because there's not much you can add to it to make it amazing. But with the iPad Air 2, Apple did just that. They made it so much better with the display, and they did power it up like crazy. Now, Apple didn't change the resolution, but they did make the display better. They made it 56% less reflective, and they removed that small gap of air in between the display and the touch sensor. So, like the iPhones, Apple just basically pressed everything together. So the display will look more vibrant. As quoted by Apple, the text almost appears to be sitting on top of the display. I'm really curious to see how that anti-reflective coating will make a difference, but besides the display, Apple did also power this thing up. It's now 2.5 times faster in graphics performance than the iPad Air and 40% faster CPU. To put that into perspective, just how far Apple has come, they showed us this graph where the iPad Air 2 is approximately 12 times faster than the original iPad with the A4 architecture. Graphical performance is 180 times faster. They said it will be console-level graphics. Not like console, but it will be console-level graphics with the new advancements made with the chip and the GPU. Now, the strong point of any iPad is its battery life, and Apple has managed to keep that same battery life. It hasn't improved it, but it's impressive seeing how there are now 3 billion transistors versus 1 billion in the new CPU. Apple also did throw in the new A8 Motion coprocessor to help you track stuff, give more information to applications, and the new camera. Apple always prides itself in just how great they can make their camera quality from seemingly non-impressive specs. Well, the iPad Air 2 has advanced from the iPad Air, but it's still, on paper, not very good. It looks like a watered-down version of the iPhone 6 sensor. So it does have a pretty impressive spec sheet, but the actual photos speak for themselves. They're very good. Apple showed us these, and I was impressed that these were taken with an iPad with no post-processing. It looks like a very capable camera, and it's not something I'd be using, but for people that use their iPads to take pictures, you do have a better tool set. Apple has also improved the front-facing camera, so your selfies, FaceTime chat, everything will be improved. They've added panorama up to 43 megapixels, slow motion video, and time-lapse from the iPhones. The camera hasn't ever been a really strong point of the iPad. Apple always keeps it a generation or two behind the iPhones. They don't want them competing with each other, but it's still welcome to see an upgrade in those. Wireless has also been improved. 802.11ac, the new standard, has been implemented alongside the new iPhone 6s, as well as the new LTE support for the LTE model iPads. It supports over 20 new LTE bands. That's more than any iPad or phone on the market besides the iPhone 6, so it's very impressive if you do travel with your iPad. And finally, something they should have added in the previous generation iPad Air, Touch ID. So with this, you can make Apple payments, pay inside of applications just with a tap of your finger. It's a very useful thing to have. So finally, we do have it on the new iPad Air 2 and the new iPad Mini 3. So as a recap, Apple has improved something that's already been great. As I mentioned before, it's hard to add crazy innovations to something that's already great, but Apple has managed to do just that. I mean, they've added a better display, less glare. So if you use your device in the sunlight, I imagine it will be better to use. You'll see a major improvement during games, just heavy graphical intensive applications. It has the new ultra-fast wireless Touch ID and new cameras. And you get it in a better package. So the device itself, it shares styling with the original iPad Air. It's just a lot thinner, 6.1 millimeters versus 7.5, while retaining the same battery life as the original iPad Air. Not only that, but it's cheaper. It's $100 cheaper than previous on the iPad Air. So it starts at $499 and you can build it up all the way to $829 with wireless. Next is the iPad Mini 3. Apple just really kind of brushed this one away. They didn't really talk about it. At the end, they just said, oh, we're going to have an iPad Mini 3 as well, even though they did mention that it received a 100% satisfaction rating from customers. That's impressive. I would have gave it a little bit more time, but as you guys can see, it has been improved as well. It does include Touch ID, faster wireless, and we're not sure if that new anti-reflective coating made it to the iPad Mini 3. Like I said, Apple just really didn't talk about it. They kind of mentioned it towards the end, and it does have improvement. We're just not sure how far that goes, but it does start at $399 and it works its way up to $729 if you option it all the way up to 128 gigabytes and the LTE wireless option. So this was interesting. Apple is pretty much keeping every single iPad mini available in the store, as well as the previous generation iPad Air, to make it available to every customer. So anyone will be able to buy one if you want at any price point. Pre-orders start tonight at 12 Pacific Daylight Time, so make sure to stay up tonight if you do want to order one, and they'll start shipping next week. That's a pretty fast rollout. Now that's the iPad. Let's talk about the Mac. So this segment of the keynote is what I was most impressed with, and that's when Apple unveiled the new iMac computer. Now Apple has been very proud of the Retina display that's been on all devices, and finally they've decided to throw it on the largest display they have, and that's the iMac 27-inch. Now it now features Retina display. That means it has a 326 ppi or higher on this massive 27-inch display. Now imagine seeing that crisp quality from your iPhone on a computer. That's crazy. I can't wait to see it in person. Now it has a resolution of 5120 by 2880 with 14.7 million pixels, and they're even claiming it's the world's highest resolution display. So they skipped 4K and they've jumped right away to 5K, which is Retina display. Now, unfortunately, Apple didn't talk about a cinema display at all for now. It's just all about the iMac, and I'm really excited to actually see this in person because the highest resolution I've used is a 4K display. 5K means 67% more pixels than 4K. And just to give you a perspective, that's how 1080p and then 4K fits onto the 5K display found on the new iMac. Kind of misleading, not actually 5mm at the base, it's way thicker, but they did also include all of this crazy new technology that they alone had to develop in order to accommodate such a large display. Now it created a problem because the pixels are so small and so close together. They needed to create a new material, a new controller to actually, direct the pixels. So it's actually impressive that it uses 30% less energy while including a whole bunch of new pixels and a clearer, crisper display. The contrast ratio has been improved thanks to the new display, so people that work with video and photo, it's going to be great for you because it does reproduce real-life colors better than the previous generation iMac. Now, while having a mouth-watering display is important, Apple did improve the internal components as well. The base model has a 3.5 GHz quad-core i5, and you can option it up to 4 GHz i7. Now, the base model does have the M290X Radeon R9, and you can option notching it up for just a little bit more to the M295X, which is apparently a lot better. At base model level, the graphical power is about 35% better on the new iMac. Considering the new technologies developed in the 5K display, the price isn't too bad. It ships today at $24.99, and you're still free to buy the older generation iMac as well. Apple did go ahead and update many people's favorite Mac Mini. So this guy's been out of date for a while, and while not impressive, the specs have been upped to HD graphics 5000, and it does have a better generation processor. Starts at $499, which is a comfortable price point. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great day, and I'll be reviewing these products soon. Peace.